What's up, YouTube? My name is Isaiah Rivera and I have a 50.5-inch vertical. This is officially tested on a Vertec, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to jump higher. Now, when athletes first start jump training, especially when they sign up for THP, this is what their vertical does. It starts dropping. This black line represents your performance, which is your vertical jump height when you test. The reason your vertical is dropping is because your fatigue is going like this. As you train harder and harder and harder, your fatigue increases. And fatigue is what causes a decrease in your vertical. So what happens a lot of times when athletes sign up for my coaching, during the first 3 weeks, they're training harder than they've ever trained in their lives. So their vertical is going down, and a lot of times they freak out. So if you ever start a new jump program, especially if it's something that's novel or you're training at intensities and volumes that you've never trained before, you're going to become fatigued. Your vertical is going to drop. The only time I haven't really seen that happen is when you have an athlete with a low training age, and a lot of times their technique improves or they become fitter at a faster rate than what their performance and fatigue is decreasing at. Which brings me to the next factor. As you're training, your fitness is increasing, all right? It's going up. Think of fitness as how ready you are to handle the jump training. Now, fitness is a biology term. It's basically how well-equipped an organism is to survive its environment. In our case, the environment is the weight room and your jump sessions. Your body and brain, it doesn't understand the difference between fighting a tiger and training. All it knows is, holy crap, this stimulus that the organism is going through is too much to handle. Let me make him a fitter athlete. Let me make it a fitter organism so it can handle that environment. And that's the whole point of training. We're imposing a training load that's going to cause an adaptation, and we want that adaptation to be specific to jumping higher. However, as you're getting fitter from training, the fatigue is masking that fitness, which is why there's a decrease in performance. So what do? You do something called a deload. So let's say here's week 1 of training, all right? Here's week 2 of training, and here is week 3 of training. During week 3, we're at the highest training load that is causing the greatest amount of training fatigue, which is causing the greatest decrease in performance. So what we're going to do is we're going to implement a deload. So we're going to unload from that training volume greatly. Usually we unload by about 50 to 70% of what you've been doing in terms of volume, but we're going to keep intensity high. The reason we keep intensity high is to retain some of those strength changes that you've seen, those fitness changes, right? What's going to happen as you deload? Your performance is going to go like this. It's going to start going up, all right? The reason it's going to start going up is because your fatigue is starting to drop. And as you can see here, this point right here, when your fatigue drops enough, your performance is going to go above baseline levels. So let me draw this a little higher. Now, this was your baseline level before. All right? So this is where you started. Your vertical dropped, and now your vertical rose above those baseline levels. This is where things get interesting. Your fitness, as you're deloading, is going to start to drop. Fitness is going to go like that. All right? Now, if your fitness drops enough during a deload, and this is what happens when you deload for too long, guess what's going to happen? Performance is going to start dropping. And what does your fatigue keep doing? Your fatigue just keeps dropping. So if you deload for too long, you have a decrease in performance because of a decrease in fitness that comes from not having a big enough training load. What's really interesting is that as you become more advanced as an athlete, the training load needed just to maintain performance becomes way higher. So you need more complex training, higher volumes, higher intensities as you become more advanced just to retain changes. And we're not even talking about making you a better athlete. So how do we mitigate dropping that performance? Because as you can see, your performance was only higher than your baseline for this period of time. So what you need to do is just start the whole process all over again, implement a new training stimulus through variety or different volumes and intensities, and then what's going to happen is you're going to start this whole process over. So this is what a training cycle looks like. And ideally, the deload just lasts long enough to PR your vertical or see increased performances above baseline. And then you start over again, and you just repeat this whole process. But what's gonna happen is this whole curve just shifts up. So now your new baseline is gonna be right there. And what you're gonna see is as you train year over year over year, is this curve just keeps shifting up and up and up. And the lows that you see, this is the basement of your training. The basement just starts increasing over time. So your bad days get better. And that's actually how I like to grade my progress over time. Are my bad days getting better? Because your peaks, they're really hard to plan, right? Because you can't always make an environment where you have high adrenaline, a competitive environment where everything aligns perfectly. But your bad days, right? An empty gym, week 3 of a training cycle with no hype and you're fatigued, that's always gonna basically be the same. And that's gonna be your basement. So I like to grade my performances, and it's specifically year over year. I don't try to look at even performance week to week or even month to month, cycle to cycle. I like to see year to year, am I getting better? And the farther out you can zoom out, the more long-term you can be, and the more consistent you're gonna be with your training, because you're gonna be able to keep higher levels of motivation. You're not gonna get bogged down by the bad days. But it's really important to keep this whole graph in mind, which, by the way, it's called the fitness fatigue model. You can Google it if you wanna learn more about it. But that's pretty much it, guys. Now, if you want me to implement this stuff into your training, go to THPstrength.com and sign up. You can use the code THP for 10% off of your first month. You're gonna get 2 group calls per month with us, a personalized group chat where you can ask us questions 24/7. You're gonna get a personalized jump program based on questions that you answer when you first get onboarded. So if you're interested, go check it out, THPstrength.com. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.